And then what are you doing? Do you want me to pick you up? Here, you want to see? If you want to pick me, oh, pick me up, she says. Look, they put the camera there. Hi, it's Robbie from Southern California. And I figured I need to get this done so we can close this up and at some point soon get back to business, get back to fun, and get back to hummingbirds and gardening and everything else that we like doing. About a week ago, I posted, and I wasn't trying to be mysterious or anything odd. I made it very clear that I would be taking off and that Gary and I were fine. The very day I posted it, it was actually probably within the hour. I don't remember. You know, this whole week has gone so slow, I don't even know what I did yesterday. Within the hour that day, my dad had passed away. Unexpectedly, he was fine, gonna have breakfast. And I think I've never gone through anything like this, as they said at the chapel. It's something we've never gone through. And it bothers me. I'll tell you a little bit. I really don't want to drag this out. My brother and I were talking right away when this all happened. My brother was there with him when he passed. My sister-in-law, my mother. Oy, oy, oy. All right, I'll start from the beginning. There's things I didn't really want to talk about, but I'm going to go ahead and say it because maybe part of me is a little upset, but it's okay. I mean, besides this fact. The night before, in the middle of the night, it wasn't even at night, like 2 in the morning, 1:30, it was 1 o'clock, whatever. My dad had an episode. I'm going to call it an episode without getting into details. All of a sudden, he was kind of like drifting. They couldn't get a hold of 911. This is in Los Angeles. They could not get a hold of 911 to answer for 15 minutes. They called and called. I heard they were doing CPR. And after 15 minutes, and this is on a cell phone registered with the address and everything, they finally answer and finally send somebody. The week before that, my mother's landline went. And they have been fighting with AT&T because my mother only knows how to pick up a phone, my mom and dad, and call my brother. They, just call redial. Basically, they were on redial. But they wouldn't turn it back on. They wouldn't fix it. They would tell them they're coming out. My brother would wait all day. They never showed. This went on for days and days. I know so well about that because that happened here quite a few years ago. It was crazy, and it wasn't AT&T. It was Frontier. They would tell me they're coming, they wouldn't show. I would get texts on my cell phone at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, multiple days that they'll be here in 30 minutes. They never showed. I don't even know why they would text me at that time. They were sending me bills for months, and the only thing I could possibly do at that time was to transfer my home number onto a cell phone and cancel them out. They were obviously not going to fix the phone line. Well, this happened to my mom. For me, that wasn't devastating. I was angry because I wanted a landline. But for my mom, she was devastated because she wanted a landline. So she could pick up the phone and just hit 0. She doesn't, like I said, she's not good at cell phones. But anyways, 15 minutes till paramedics got there. And they actually, by the time they got there, everything was going on and they checked him. His blood pressure was good back. His heart rate was good. He was talking. He said he was fine. They decided that there was no reason to bring him to the hospital because he was fine. So that, let's say 2 o'clock in the morning. At approximately 7:30, my brother goes down because my brother lives upstairs with his wife and the kids. They were all raised there, his kids. So my dad was like a second dad to the kids, which are now grown in college. And my niece is going to be a full vet within a year and a half, and my nephew is going to college in San Diego, engineer. They weren't home, neither one of them. So my brother goes down at 7:30 in the morning, and my dad said he's fine, but he's still tired, which is not unusual. And he said, how about breakfast? Because my brother made my dad and my mom breakfast. How about, he said 10:30, 11. So my brother said, okay, I'll see you then. About 11 o'clock, just before my mother calls my brother from upstairs, he's not responding to her. He's not talking. He went down there. Long story short, my sister-in-law gave him CPR and worked on him for the longest time. They finally got a hold of 911, who got there fairly quick. They actually thought they had a pulse and they got him over to the hospital. But at 12:02 p.m., that's in the afternoon, they called it that he was gone. And then my brother called me. My sister-in-law called me when he was taken to the hospital. It would take me to get there. It could take me 2 hours. It just depends. So there was no way to go there. She even said, sit tight. There's nothing you can do. So my brother called me actually my brother didn't even know if he was gone or not, because he was waiting, they said, for a social worker. They were going to get him. And then the social worker came out. I was on the phone with my brother. My sister wasn't there yet. My sister lives close by. And they came out, the social worker and the doctor, and talked to my brother and I, and said he was gone. Oh, my brother's like, well, you can't go with this, you can't. And it was like, it was not real. It still isn't real to me. I've had my dad, who's a rock, my rock in my life, of course, my whole life. And I'm up there too. So he's always there to lean on. So anyways, it was decided that he was gone. That's when I think I posted that, because I knew I'm not coming back. And I don't ever want to leave anybody hanging. Hey, if I had a nervous breakdown, I'd go on there and say, hey, I'm having a nervous breakdown. I'm just saying, I don't want to leave anybody hanging. My first thought was everything going on, what's coming. And I was devastated. I was crying mess. Thank God for Gary at my side every second of all this. And unfortunately, he went through this when he was a teenager with his mother. So he knew what was coming, all these things, what was coming. I don't even know where else to go from there. So from then on, it was getting arrangements done, which took actually days. Normally it would be 24 hours, but it was a Friday, and they couldn't do anything on Saturday, and then there was other things, I don't know, but it took days, and there was a lot of arrangements. My mother wasn't going. She didn't want a funeral. She was screaming she's not going, she doesn't want anything. But I didn't want anything, because my thing is, if I'm gone, I'm gone. Everybody go on with their life. I'm kind of like her in a way. And I said, I'll sit with you. Let them make what they want, and I'll sit with you. And it was okay. And then my sister-in-law says to me, you know, your mom was going to go. I said, okay. She says, I don't know why she changed her mind. I figured it was my fault, because I said I'd sit with her. So I told my mom, I want to go. Especially now he was having a military burial as well. And she got mad and said, well, if you aren't going to sit with me, then I have to go, which was a good thing. It was a good thing she went. I don't know what else to say. I don't want to bring anybody down. The last thing I want to do here is I want everything happy. And it's been a very trying week. And it's been a week, and I'm telling you, my mind tells me it's been 3 weeks and a month, and it's been a week. And like every family, I think there was a little bit of drama, though everything went really, really well. And there was a big concern at some point that my sister-in-law wanted open casket, which is something I didn't even as a kid go to funerals. So that, I was devastated. I don't want that. And then it was decided, how about we do a viewing? And that was fine with me, because the grandkids, her kids, my niece and nephew wanted to see him. And so it was decided on that for viewing. So anybody that wanted to see him could see him, and that was it. Some of my grandkids went in to see him. I did go into the room. I really didn't step over. I did write a note. I wrote a note about the seagulls. I'll talk about that in a minute. I wished him, not wished him well, told him he was everything to me. And I loved him so much. There's so many things in my life that would never have happened if it wasn't for him. No joke. It's only because of him. Even though with me fighting with him, there's so many things like that. My dad, I was the boy he didn't have. I'm not a boy. I am born and raised a female, but he wanted a boy, and so I became that. In other words, I went fishing with him at a little tiny age. I went shooting with him. He taught me how to shoot rifles, guns, everything. I mean, he's military. He had that. And I did all this with him. He wanted to go to the nurseries because he's going to do the lawn and he's going to plant and stuff. I was there. Want to mow the lawn? I even used to push the push mower. I mean, I could do all that. I wasn't a tomboy, though, because he used to ask me, you want to climb a tree? And I'd like, no. We had big cypress trees. Come on, I'll show you. I used to climb the tree to the top. I look up there and think, no. I had no interest in tree climbing, but hiking and all that. I recently found something out I never knew before. From a young kid, very young, I joined the Brownies, and then from there I joined the Girl Scouts until I aged out. And I just found out my sister never did. My mom told me the other night. I said, my sister never joined the Brownies? Oh no, she would have no part of it. And I guess because we're so different. I was very outdoorsy. I even slept outside in the yard. I built a tent when I was a kid. It's just amazing, all these stories that came, and there were so many things I just didn't know. But I remember a big one. It sounds crazy, but he would help me with schoolwork and picking electives. And I remember he told me in junior high, you're going to take typing. I am not taking typing. I fought with him. I will never, sit behind the desk and type and be a secretary. And he said, I don't care. I said, no. I said, no. He said, you need typing for the future. And I said, not my future. He said, yep, you're going to need it in the future, he used to tell me. And I want you to take typing. I said, I'll fail it. I know I will. I told him I have no interest. Fail it. He said to me, I don't care. Fail it. I just want you to take it. Well, not only did I not fail it, I got super grades in it, super fast typer, and took it longer than I needed to take it. And because of that, I'm not going to get into details on anything, but I have written articles all over the world, hundreds of articles. And that's because I could sit down at a typewriter. If somebody called me from a magazine or something and needed something, we need it. When do you need it? Tomorrow morning. So I just, boom, got it all together and bam. I would never have been able to take up writing at that time without that skill. And the only thing I didn't do, which was my dad's wishes, he wanted me to write a children's book. Though I have thought about it many, many times, he used to tell me to write a children's book, and maybe I will. He made sure I learned how to swim. That was funny because the way he taught me to start to get used to water was, I found that it was the same way he taught my sister and my brother. I had fallen in due to instructors not watching me during a swim lesson, and I almost drowned. And for 2 years, I must have been like 6, 7. I wouldn't get near the water, in the water. So he taught me how to hold my breath in the sink, the bathroom sink. He'd clean it out, fill it up with water after dinner, and he'd say, we're gonna practice. And I put my face in, he'd time me, good job, good job. And that's how I got used to water. And then my mom found an instructor to work with me personally, closely, until finally they got me back in the water. This was at Gardner Park in LA, and I could swim. And not only that, underwater, off the high dive, but it took a while because of almost drowning. Then I found out he did the same thing, the same technique. I'm the one that, he experimented on, because I was the first one. They did the same with my sister and my brother. I think it's time I wrap this up. I'm going to be okay. I'm telling you, I don't know if Gary wasn't here, because there's days, hours, minutes, I just burst into just tears. I'm surprised right now I'm not, but I think I just want to get through this. I just sit and just cry, and I'm devastated, and I'm tired, and I can't believe he's gone. My dad was everything to me, and he is that's going to be the first time I'm going to say this. He was a world, never said was, even just recently with Veterans Day, I did a thing. He was a World War II Navy vet. And the Navy was so important to him. He was such a good person. I remember a story that was told at his service that was a little bit twisted, and my brother and I just talked about it last night, where he enlisted at 17 years old to go into the Navy. And they were in line at this big pool. It was probably a Navy reserve. They were all in line, and they would tell the guys, they'd call their name, and the guy would come up, they had a long line, and they would tell him jump in the deep end. And if they didn't jump instantly, my dad said, they shoved him. The guy would walk across, and if they didn't jump, bam, he said. They were shoved so hard. He was standing in line with this guy, Seymour. And this guy, I don't know if he met him there. He probably didn't know him, probably met him there. And he said to him, what's going on? The guy was crying and bawling, and he told my dad, I don't know how to swim. And they were not friendly there. I don't know what happened if you couldn't get to the edge. He was crying, and my dad said, we're so far down the line. Maybe it was their last names, because it was with an S. He said, just hang tight. We'll take care of this. Well, it ended, and they didn't finish. So they had to come back the next day to continue to go through to make sure they could jump into the deep end and at least get to an edge. So that night, he went with Seymour to the pool, and he taught him to swim. He said to him, it doesn't matter how you swim, but I'm going to teach you to dog paddle, because as soon as you get in, you're going to dog paddle to the edge and we're done. And then they go on with the next one. And he taught him that night how to dog paddle. So when the next day they came back, Seymour jumped in, dog paddled to the side, and everything was fine. Same thing he told me when I got scared and I didn't want to go into the water and learn to swim. He used to tell me, I don't care what kind of swimmer you are. All I care about is you can get to the edge if you ever fell in. And you're going to learn to dog paddle. But I learned more. Anyways, I feel so bad I'm dragging you through this. Again, we're at the end of gardening, though we are doing so much. Even Gary's just going and going right now and changing things up. We haven't stopped doing anything. I will say I did not see my garden for 4 days because all I did was, between the funeral and being here, I sat in the house and taking care of all the hummingbirds. I haven't watered anything. I lost a few flowers, but that's it. I'm not even worried about it. But of course, everything's going to continue. I just need time. I'm very concerned about my mother, because my mother, her whole life, my dad has been right there. I'm hoping she'll get through this. She won't come here, and I understand. She likes her house. She wants to stay there, and my brother lives upstairs. I found out my nephew, which was decided like a week or so before my dad passed, that he was taking a year off. He wants to move back in, away from college, come back, live there, take care of everything that needs to be taken care of. We had a big, long talk just before the service. And then he's going to go back to school next September. There's not much else to say. It was very small. My mother wanted nothing, so we had it small, though we had family members and friends. I've got some friends that I've known for over 40 years, and boy, they drove far. They really drove far to come, and I appreciate that so much, and I didn't expect it, and I didn't want them to. And my other friend that lives nearby sent the most beautiful, they couldn't make it, and it would have been a far trip for them, sent the most beautiful bouquet, which was up on the podium by his coffin. So that's basically it. That's what happened. I couldn't bring myself the first day when I came and typed that in on the community, what happened, because I couldn't deal with, I'm sorry. And I know I came in there and I thought it was clear enough. You know, I didn't want to deal with all the messages. I could have shut them off, I guess. I don't know if I can do that on community. I wanted to make it clear that Gary and I were okay. that I will be back. Something happened, I said, in the family. I know a couple, everybody was great. One person wrote, good riddance, have fun. Okay, well, I didn't have fun. But anyways, may not have understood. I thought I made myself clear. And then I know I had wished you happy Thanksgiving, because it was Thanksgiving coming. And I didn't think I'd come back on, which I didn't really. But then I made a little bird feeder for the hummingbirds, just because I was just in the house and I forgot I was going to do something with this little turkey I had. So I decided within minutes, if you look at the time and the date, I made a real quick bird feeder and put it out and wished everybody happy Thanksgiving, because you guys are so important to me. You're like a big family. And I just want you to know we are okay. We're not leaving the channel. I just need to be able to pull myself together. I mean, my dad would tell me keep going, of course. So I can't think of anything else to say on this, but I think you've pretty much got the full story. The little drama that I was talking about was, there was at one point when my sister-in-law wanted to have an open casket, she said they wanted to make him look good. Certain family members said, no, you can't put any makeup on him. And there was like crying. And I said, I can help with that. I spent the day with him on his birthday in September. And my friend sent him a happy birthday, like a audio birthday thing. And he wanted to send something back. Nobody knows this. My mother was doing her own thing. She was having physical therapy, and my sister was there. They were all doing their own thing. So I sat with my dad for about an hour in the kitchen, and he said, all right, let's send them something. So we took a picture and a little video. My dad looked at it and said, I don't like the way I look. What do you mean you don't like the way you look? You look fine. No, I don't like it. I said, you know what? You want me to clean it up? And he said, what do you mean? You want me to touch up the picture a little bit? Okay. He sat there and watched. We did it together. And he said to me, how in the world did you ever learn that? I said, oh, I've been doing artwork, art photography work, digital photography work. This was just another way of learning a different thing. I said, so we cleaned it just a little. And he looked at it, said, I like that. You can send him that. And that's what my friends got. A thank you. He recorded it. Though the recording, I put his pictures, his Navy pictures over, but the photo at the end is the one we touched up. So I said to them, this can stop. I can help you with this. He wouldn't mind. If he was here today and you asked him just a little bit of makeup, he'd say it was okay. I know for a fact. So with that, I think I'll end this here. I miss my dad so much. I'm going to miss him forever. Like I said, I've learned so much. Gardening is because of him. Cooking and baking would be because of my mom, but gardening and nature, he used to pet bees. He used to teach me that I would not pet bees. He used to pet bees. He was so much into nature and stuff, and there's so much I learned from him, and I am what I am because of him. My brother said I felt nothing. I didn't feel like something was going to happen. I told my brother when he called here crying, I didn't know. I was on the deck cleaning flowers when it happened. I knew when my grandmother died. I knew when my other grandmother died. I knew when my grandpa, the moment my grandfather passed, I knew. I called everybody because I knew. Didn't feel anything. I don't know why. And he said the same thing. We kind of know things and we didn't feel anything. We didn't know he passed. I don't know what that's all about. I have no idea. I mean, I know most people don't, but it's something I do because I was at a friend's house and I was sitting there and I told her I got to go. This is many years ago, which is why I said, my grandfather just died. What? There's something wrong. There was no cell phones. I had to run home. The operator helped me to get through to the neighbor because nobody was answering and my grandfather had just died. Like when I felt it is. So it's kind of like something, I know when something's wrong. I knew when my girlfriend had a problem, but it was like we were all just doing our own thing and nobody felt him go. Nobody knew, nobody had a feeling. Everybody thought 2026. I don't know, but I know maybe sometimes feeling something is not the normal. but for me, the normal is usually I know different things, so I don't know. Anyways, thank you all for your patience. You're wonderful. I've seen the condolences coming through because now you figured out with the little video on the hummingbird what had happened. And this should be it. We don't need to talk about it anymore. We'll go on with life because life is beautiful. My dad would say, get back to work. Do what you love. And that's what I'm going to start doing. So with that, have a wonderful day. And thank you for all your messages. And don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye. As I was wrapping this up, I remembered I told you I was going to tell you something that had happened the morning of the funeral. I was talking to my friend that she lives next door, and I looked up. I was in the bird garden, and that was a beautiful morning, not a cloud in the sky. And I told her, I see a whole bunch of ducks or something coming. And she said, what? I said, I don't know what's going on. And she said, I'm going to run outside and look. I said, yes, go look, go look. I stepped out in the middle of the garden, and we were both still on the phone, and I looked straight up above my head. And she said to me, Robbie, there's about 100 birds. And I said, there's seagulls, and they're circling me. They circled 3 times above my head. And then they made a white circle after the 3rd time, and she watched them, and I watched them fly off. She said, it seems like a sign. And I said to her, it kind of does, because my dad's favorite thing was going to the beach, fishing, and we did that on the pier, Santa Monica and Malibu, and we used to feed the seagulls. I don't know, but I've lived here since 1988, and I have never seen anything like that. A flyover occasionally, once in a while of seagulls, but never to fly straight here from the ocean. You can see they're coming from the ocean, and circle the property above the bird garden here, and then just disappear.